What is going on, internet? My name is Sean, and you have unfortunately stumbled across my channel, Sean Breaks Shit. Sorry. I have never made a YouTube video in my life, so this is going to be very fun. What this is this is a brief introduction to me and the process of me buying a salvage vehicle and rebuilding it. Now, I know that there are a bunch of these videos on YouTube of different guys that are doing it with much nicer vehicles, but I'm in Canada, so this is something that's, you know, pretty rare in Canada. I am not aware of any YouTube star, I'm not calling myself a star, far from it. Not aware of any star on YouTube that is in Canada doing this, so the process is a little bit different. A lot of people use Copart. I personally bought this from Impact Auto. I like their selection more. They have a lot of really nice cars that I have not been able to find on Copart that was within a reasonable distance of where I am in Ontario. So, a little bit about this vehicle. It is a 2015 Audi Q5. It was in a front end collision and kind of a side collision, and then also a bottom collision. Yeah, you can see that hole right in the control arm back there. And then also another side collision. Anyways, so it was in all those collisions at the same time, same accident, and I bought this from Impact Auto for $14,100 Canadian. It's got 92,000 clicks on it, kilometers for you Americans, and it's in really good shape. It runs perfectly fine. The frame wasn't actually bent. What was bent was this part of the rad support and the crash bar. So this is actually all new, but I will get to that in future parts of this series, future episodes. Again, this is just an introduction, just so that I can introduce myself, and I'm going to be showing some pictures and talking through all the damage that was on this vehicle when it arrived. Unfortunately, all of the videos that I made leading up to this are gone. I don't know where they went. So you're basically going to be missing out on a whole bunch of content of when I got the car up until this point, but I'm going to try and talk it through with some photos, and then all the content from today going forward will be what is actually being done on the vehicle. It's not just going to cut to. But that being said, now I'm going to cut to the pictures of crash vehicle in really bad condition, worse than it is now. But before I do that, I want to give a very big thank you to Sam Automotive out in Baden. They bought this vehicle on my behalf, and then I bought it from them because I'm not able to actually place a bid on a vehicle on either Copart or Impact Auto because I do not have a dealer license, and I didn't want to deal with a broker, so I used them to buy it for me, and I bought it from them. So huge thanks to Sam out at Sam Automotive. He's doing some great work helping the people with no money or time. And children, so many children.
Alright guys, so here we have open the window with all the pictures that Impact Auto sent me. Load up the first image here. So you can see that there was a little bit of damage on the front. Tiny smidgen, you know, nothing crazy. The hood was totally messed up, so gotta get rid of that. The front bumper was completely destroyed. There's nothing left. There was only a little bit attached at the bottom. It was just bolted to the skid plate. That's literally all that was left of the front bumper. You can see in the back passenger corner that the gas door was missing as well, which I really don't understand how that came off, but it was just sitting on the passenger seat when I received the vehicle, so that was kind of weird. You may not be able to see from here, but in the lower passenger side of the rear door, I guess it was the door trim. You don't really call it a rocker panel, I guess, but the door trim is kind of mangled a little bit. I don't know if this if this vehicle was pushed into a curb when it was in the accident or something like that, but I'm gonna have to get a new one of those. And we'll swing around to the other side. You can see the front here, the fender was really messed up. That was not salvageable at all. It looks like they actually bent it back straight-ish because there was a very heavy crease, and I imagine that the fender was actually kind of bent in half, almost. Judging by how, when it was struck in the headlight, the driver headlight, and then the car just kind of rubbed all the way down the side of the vehicle. I really don't understand how they did that, but it happened. Yeah, you can see here that the rad support was just destroyed where the headlight mounts to it and where the headlight mounts to the fender. The AC line was actually bent a little bit, but it's actually not destroyed or cracked or leaking or anything like that. It holds pressure totally fine. I managed to bend back the tubing part before it gets to the flexible hose, and yeah, there's no breaks or leaks or anything, so I'm not going to bother trying to replace that. I'm just going to continue to use the hose that's on there because it's in pretty decent shape. There's only a very small compression in the hose, but nothing crazy. It should hold pressure no problem. It'll continue to hold pressure no problem. If you look at the front crash bar, where the bar mounts to the bracket and then the bracket mounts to the rad support, that's actually the only part that was bent. The frame rails were straight as an arrow, assuming you have a straight arrow, and the only thing that was bent was the actual mounting bracket itself. So I used a slide hammer with a bolt through the mounting bolt hole and just basically slide hammered it back to straight, and totally fine. The apron where the fender mounts to, that was bent just a little bit, so I took a rubber mallet to it and I bent it back to straight. So the rad support, the new one that I put on there, which I guess you'll see in a future video, maybe even this video, I don't know. Yeah, I'm shooting this in the future, the far distant future. So the rad support that I did put on, everything lines up properly. And here you can see the back. So there was no damage to the back of the vehicle. The only thing that, I don't know what happened to it. Maybe the guy backed into something. But the rear lower grille, the S-line bumper, it was pushed out. So I just pushed that back in and clipped it back into the bumper. That was the only thing that was wrong back there. The rear door, you can see the door handle's missing. And there is a crease right where that body line is, where it meets the rear driver's side door. And that's actually caused from the insurance estimating company. They tried to pry open the rear door with a crowbar or something, and they just pushed in the body panel, and that kind of pisses me off because there was no other damage to that body panel aside from that when they tried to pry open the door. So the rear quarter panel is just crunched there a little bit, and it's kind of annoying. But I'm going to try and repair that panel without cutting it out, but if I can't, I'm not going to buy a stud welder. I was going to use just a MIG welder and some rod to try and slide hammer it out. But if I can't fix it like that, I'm going to have to cut out about a 6-inch square piece and of a rear quarter that I purchased just as backup, and then weld that in and body fill and send it off to the paint shop. Here you can see the driver's side mirror hanging on. They just kind of clipped the wiring harness, which was a little bit of a pain in the ass because to try and fish the wiring harness back through the door was, it was annoying because I had nothing to grip onto. But the connectors for the mirror are separate from the rest of the wiring inside the door panel, so that's not a big deal or anything. I don't have to rewire anything, thankfully. And here, just the other side of the rear, you can see the gas door missing. Well, I guess diesel door missing. just a closer shot of that front end. Yeah, you can see some wiring. It's missing its sheathing. There was some frayed wire in there. I rewired fog light clip. I rewired the driver's side crash sensor clip. I rewired the windshield washer fluid level sensor. And there were a couple random frays in wires along just a blank or a random spot. It was where the between clips or whatever. So I just rewired that as well with some butt connectors that have shrink wrap on them already. And then I redid the entire wiring harness. I removed all the factory tape that they use, and I just put basically just hockey tape all the way down the wiring harness, so it looks brand new. And you can also see a tube hanging over the driver's side door, or the driver's side tire, and that's just the headlamp washer tube. It's just a standard EPDM style tube you can just get from basically Napa or any other auto parts store. It's a pretty standard size. The other thing I had to replace on here is the windshield trim leading up the A-pillar. That was cracked from when the hood got pushed up. It kind of snapped that trim piece, but only on the driver's side. The passenger side is totally fine, and I got really lucky where the windshield did not crack at all. There's no damage to the windshield at all. It was the only damage on the front end of the car is literally the fender, the apron that was bent just a little bit, and the rad support and hood and bumper. That's it. Structurally, there was nothing else that was broken. And here's a quick shot of the interior. The interior is in really, really good condition. There is no scratches or anything on any of the seats. The carpet honestly looked brand new when I vacuumed up the glass shards that were on it. The steering wheel had a little bit of wear and tear on it, but it's a 2015, and I mean, it's a leather red. It's not genuine leather. I don't believe genuine leather was an option on just the regular Q5. I think that only came on the SQ5. So everything else got like a lesser quality leatherette. Not really vinyl, but like I don't know, some type of leathery material that wasn't real leather. It was really tough. And you can see the odometer readout, 92,820 kilometers, which is really good for this year with the diesel. I was looking at what some of the other vehicles on Auto Trader go for with the same package that I have, and some of them have significantly more kilometers with the TDI, and they're selling for around 30 to 32,000. So with 92,000, if I wanted to sell it, which I don't, I plan on driving this till the vehicle physically won't move under its own power anymore. But I could probably get around 28 to 29,000 for this vehicle if I were to try and sell it with a rebuilt title, which is actually really good. I'm hoping to come in under 25,000 all said and done, with including the price of the vehicle purchase, including the fees for purchasing the vehicle, the licensing fees, tax, and all the parts with tax, as well as paint. So we're gonna see how close I come to that. I should come fairly close, so, but we'll see. And here we see the back seat. This is just a fender liner that's hanging over the seat. It's not the roof liner or anything like that hanging down. The seats were in really good condition. It's just dirt because somebody's stepped on the seats with their muddy boot because they're stupid. Yeah, there's no cuts, no perforation or anything like that, no burn marks. Everything's actually in really good condition. It looks like the person that owned this vehicle before me actually took really good care of it. So, and here's just a picture of the VIN number. I looked up the VIN number before I bought the vehicle. Mind you, the only thing I had to go off of were pictures of the vehicle. I never actually saw this vehicle before I bought it, aside from the pictures. This was one of those sight unseen purchases. The vehicle's from Montreal, and I'm in Ontario. So that's that would have been a bit of a drive for me to go look at this thing. But yeah, it was well maintained. I looked up the service history. It never missed an oil change, nothing like that. Was not in any other accidents that were reported, at least. So I believe this was the only major accident that ever happened to it. So any damage that was on this vehicle, I assume, was done from only this one accident. There's only minor curb rash on the wheels and stuff like that, which I assume the driver was just a bad driver. And here we have our final shot of the engine bay. You can kind of see the rad support on the driver's side on the right there, that it's just pushed up and bent all the crap, and that's where it was separated from the front apron. And then the apron was bent up just a little bit. You can't see it in this photo, or actually really in any of the photos, but the inlet pipe coming from the intercooler to the throttle body, that was crushed and just shattered. The sensor was also pierced by some piece of metal. So actually, when I was doing the checking the CELs, there was an IAT sensor problem, and at first I didn't really clue in. I was thinking that the IAT was going to be a separate sensor, like on some vehicles, like in the early 2000s it was. The IAT would be its own sensor in the intake manifold and not part of a map sensor or pressure sensor. So I was tracing all this wiring, trying to find this IAT sensor, and I just couldn't find anything. And I didn't really clue in that, oh, maybe the IAT sensor is actually built into the pressure sensor that was destroyed in that one pressure pipe. So thinking back finally to my days of dealing with turbo J-bodies and deltas, the map sensor also had the IAT sensor built into it. So when I finally clued back into, oh my god, I'm such an idiot, as soon as I clear the codes after I have everything else changed on here, it shouldn't be an issue at all. That shouldn't come back up because I replaced that sensor as well as the pipe. So that's basically it. This is how I received the vehicle, and then all the episodes that you guys will be watching if you decide to stick around. Yeah, you'll see me doing all the work with a couple buddies whenever they decide to show up. Just trying to get this thing back on the road so that I have a vehicle to chauffeur my daughter around in. All right.